59. Yeah, you see. Here we are live. So I don't see anybody yet, but for those of you who are watching the replay, welcome to this webinar. We will start in less than a minute with the presentations. We will be going on for around half an hour. I can tell you before we start, for you, the replay watchers, that this webinar is hosted from the Arctic. And we have somebody in Belgium, and we have somebody in Czechia, and we have also somebody from France. And you will learn who when we start shortly, because they will present themselves. Marie-Francoise will be just showing her picture and not her image because of internet connectivity issues, but she will speak. So here we are. Welcome to this webinar. We are going to introduce the Orléans OGC INSPIRE Hackathon today. It will be a 30-minute of very interesting discussions and informations about the exciting topics of standards and metadata. So my name is Bente Lilja. I'm going to be your host today, and with me I have our speakers. So I will start with you, Karel. Karel Charvat, can you introduce yourself to the audience?
Okay. So my name is Karel, and I am, as Bente mentioned, from Czech, and I am working all my life around geospatial information. And in last years, my big problem was that I saw that there is slow cooperation among projects, and a lot of results disappear. And so we start with this INSPIRE Hack to help a little to the people share their knowledge.
Yes, and here we are with yet another hackathon. And we are cooperating this time particularly with the Open Geospatial organization. So Marie-Francoise Voidrot, can you introduce yourself as well?
Yes, so my name is Marie-Francoise Voidrot. I work with the Open Geospatial Consortium in Europe, in France. And I have been working for more than 30 years for information systems, for meteorological data, and a little bit for oceanographic data. And since last year, I work on all type of observation, Earth observation data for all type of needs.
Thank you, Marie-Francoise. And last but not the least, Danny, you are going to introduce us to metadata and GeoDCAT. Can you introduce yourself first?
Yes, my name is Danny Vanderbroucke from Belgium. I'm working at the University of Leuven, very close to Brussels. Since a long time also, like Karel, I'm working in the geospatial field and also more particularly in the field of INSPIRE implementations with some focus on metadata, and over the past few months we worked on GeoDCAT AP best practice document.
Thank you so much. And before we start, I would like to encourage you all to ask questions and comment in the chat. You will see that there's a chat box on your screen, and we really want to hear what your thoughts are, what particular field you are interested in, and of course concrete questions to what you hear. We will have a Q&A towards the end of the webinar, but we might also have answering some of your questions in between the presentation. So please do let us know what kind of what questions you have, and maybe you can say hi and tell us where you're from, so we know who we are speaking with or who are listening. That would be great. Yes, and we aim to be finished actually on time. So the next 30 minutes will be dedicated to this hackathon introduction. So Karel, let us hear more about the INSPIRE hackathons. and he will share his screen. He has a presentation, and there are some lags. Yeah. So you ready, Karel? Yes. Here you come.
You see my screen already?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so you can see here that this Orléans INSPIRE Hack is co-organized with OGC. The main organizer of this INSPIRE Hacks is Plan for All association. We start to organize these hacks on INSPIRE conference in Barcelona, and you can see that number of important European projects is cooperating on the organization of our INSPIRE hacks. For this hack, we select one theme which could be a little boring for a number of people. It is metadata, but we will try to demonstrate that metadata could be also very exciting. So I hope that this hackathon will help to promote metadata. So as I mentioned, INSPIRE Hack is not one event. It is the process. This process started almost 2 years ago, and we plan to continue. INSPIRE name is that the main hack is organized on an INSPIRE conference, but we are organizing a number of satellite events, and this Orléans is one from this satellite event. And the vision is to support open data policy, and we are a little different hackathon. We are not hackathon for with focus on young people, students, and other as is normally. They are not excluded, but we are focused more on cooperation of experts, because we think that such playground for experts is also important, yes, because people are working in companies, in projects, but we would like to offer to the people possibility to work together and exchange of experiences. And this is connected with open innovation, open science, and we try to help to support INSPIRE Copernicus GEOS. We are trying to use this as continuation process. We are trying to support one result from hack to transfer this to other, and to bring more people together to work on this and to support the development. And we see this now, the INSPIRE Hackathon, like some movement, and INSPIRE is its platform, but INSPIRE is European directive, but we are not looking only on Europe. We would like to cooperate around the world. And we think that this continuation is important, because there is chance that the people are meet together more often, and some people are participating on our hackathons almost from beginning. And what is very positive, that our family is growing, and we hope that we will continue with this. So shortly, the Orléans hackathon already started, because our hackathons are usually organized such that the main work is running in advance. So we already start, and if you will go on Plan for All portal, you can see already first ideas for the project. And OGC meeting will be used mainly for presentation of the results. So it's time now to all join some existing team, or to bring your own idea and to look for some people who can cooperate with you. Here are the main topics. I think that Danny will speak more detail about this. So we are looking on could be future standards for metadata, and on the possibility how connect current GI metadata with could be more open data community. So this is, I think, main topics, and Danny will tell more about it. If you would like to participate, you can go on this URL. My presentation will be available, and you can register yourself, and then use our Google collaborative space, and on this collaborative space are already described some ideas, or you can put there your own ideas and to try to attract the people. We will present all these ideas on Plan for All portal. Plan for All portal is the main gateway for all this INSPIRE Hackathon. I think it was all from my presentation. I tried to be short because I think that now will come some more technical contributions.
Thank you so much, Karel. Indeed, I see that not all of the information that you provide on the slides are visible, and so I would like to offer the possibility to receive a PDF version of the slides if you are interested. Please let us know in the chat if you want us to send you the slides.
Okay, I will do this.
Yeah. I think you, Karel, also you need to unshare your screen because
I'm working on this.
Yes,
I hope that it is not okay.
Yes, thank you so much. So then we are going to learn more about the motivation from OGC. And Marie-Francoise, I will bring up the presentation that you will present to us. We have to do it like this because of various internet connections issues. So I will, let me see now. This is it. I will share my screen. So can you tell me when you see the screen?
Yeah, I can see the screen. So
nobody sees the screen?
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Marie-Francoise, so, maybe you need to unmute yourself.
I'm not muted.
Did we lose Marie-Francoise?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, it looks so because I don't see
her
anymore. I don't know.
No. Oh, she's okay. She's coming back. So I see that Wendy would, meanwhile, while we are waiting for Marie-Francoise, we see, oh, Ons can hear Marie-Francoise, Philippe can hear Marie-Francoise, and now
Can you hear me?
Yes, Marie-Francoise,
okay,
we
great.
can.
Thank you. So, yes, as Karel has introduced on his presentation, we will host the final sprint of the next INSPIRE Hackathon in Orléans during our next main event organized by OGC, which is a technical committee sponsored and hosted by BRGM and Athos. And this is why it will be in Orléans. So the presentations and awards will be done on March 22nd during this technical committee. Next slide. So OGC mission is to advance the development and use of international standards and supporting services that promote geospatial interoperability. So interoperability is really the key word that drives all our work. And we try to organize global forum for collaboration of geospatial data and solution providers and users. Next slide. So the idea is really to gather international experts from all backgrounds, and they can be from private companies, and academias, NGOs, and government institutes, to work together to define the best standards to ensure the interoperability of all type of geospatial data for all type of needs. And we have right now more than 500 members. So the works are organized through 4 programs, and I will only say some words about the 2 first. So the standard program, which is the program where we organize this forum and discussion to try to improve and define the standards and work on the interoperability. And then I will talk about the innovation a little bit later. Next slide. So to work on standards, we are organized in two types of working groups. There are the standard working groups who really work on the standards, and the domain working group who try to see how these standards can be applied to certain domain or thematic fields. And metadata is one of the domain working groups we host. And right now, into this metadata domain working group, next slide maybe. What we have observed is that there are several types of standards which are defined by different type of users. So in the geo world, the reference would be the ISO 19115 and ISO 19139. But there are also some flavors and different implementation of the standards done in the INSPIRE world and by GRC, the GeoDCAT. So this is for geospatial geo world. But people dealing with open data or in governmental world, they use another type of standards, DCAT, defined by the W3C standard organization. And also the Dublin Core, which is a reference for metadata, which is also used and the main reference for archive world. And there are other standards like this which exist. The fact is that now we want to go towards more interoperability, and we don't have to have these silos. We want all the people to be able to find data that come from open data or from geodata or from governmental data as they want. So the problem is to work on interoperability. So in OGC, we have different types of document. And so I talked about the standards before, and we are well known for that. But we have also best practices or white paper, for instance. And right now, into the metadata domain working group, Danny, who will talk later with Luen Res, are working to define a best practice document to make type of state-of-the-art of which standard exists and which interoperability we can try to implement out of all these standards. Next slide. So I said that we also have an innovation program, and I'm working into this program mainly within OGC. And this is type of research experiment program of OGC, where we try to make some agile processes to make rapid prototyping and testing and demonstration of the implementation that work and are really interoperable or not. So next slide. Within this program, we implement different types of initiatives. So the test beds are quite famous because these are the biggest initiatives and the most probably innovative we implement in OGC. And Hackathon is a type of more focused and smaller initiative, but this is why we're interested in making Hackathon. We have also interoperability experiments, pilots, and so on, depending on the technology maturity and the scope and variety of the domain we tackle into these initiatives. So making now a hackathon on the metadata to try to go further and test the ideas which can come out of this best practice is, I think, what we try to push during this hackathon. And this is why OGC is very interested in supporting and make sure that the members are informed about this work.
Yes, thank you. I'll stop sharing and come back to you. So let me see. I see there are some questions. And they are telling us they want to have the slides. So we will provide also the slides from Marie-Francoise and Karel, and I'm sure we get the ones from Danny as well. So Danny, let's dive into the metadata. I think actually metadata and standards are really exciting. I have to admit, I don't think it's boring. So I'm looking forward to hear what you have to say, Danny.
Can you see my screen? Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Okay. Well, it's a short presentation, so we will not dive in details now, but just to have a first flavor of what we are talking about. I've prepared this together with Lieven Raas from Information Flanders, so the Flemish government, in view of this specific hackathon or a webinar. So first I will introduce briefly metadata, why do we need them? And then the second part is to focus a little bit more on this GeoDCAT AP story. To be honest, I think it was already said metadata are boring. Some people hate metadata, a bit at least, but it's also clear that we need metadata. In fact, metadata are almost everywhere. Whether you take a book, you will find somewhere in the book reference information about the book with a unique identifier, with the authors, and so forth and so forth. You will find it on products like cocaines. At the back, you will see some information about the product. We have metadata, of course, about data and other components of our information society. So even if we say that we do not really like metadata, or it's not very sexy, we are all aware that we need to describe things somehow. So we need meta information, metadata about things. Metadata might have different functions. This is a picture, an old picture that has been established in the context of INSPIRE, in INSPIRE Directive and Initiative. A lot of the metadata in the information society and also the geospatial metadata are aimed to improve discovery, to find back data resources or service resources or other resources. It's not only to discover them, but also to find out if the data or the service we see described is fit for my purpose. If I find the data set back, is it something I can use? Should I pay? Is it of high enough quality? Who is the owner? And so forth and so forth. But also, is the content I expect? And then you have the third main function. There are some other functions, but the third big chunk is the usage of the data requires also information about the data. Background information can be very detailed, how, for example, a field in a database has been set up and should be used or interpreted and so forth. So different functions for metadata. And it has been already pointed out that there are different communities with different metadata standards. Without maybe knowing exactly, but Dublin Core is used by many of us when we document a report, or another document. We usually use the fields, metadata fields of Dublin Core to give information about that document. There are very specific initiatives in Europe, like the Assets Descriptor Metadata Schema that has been developed in the context of the ISAP program, which is meant to, for example, document tools, document software, document other assets in a standardized way. We have then DCAT AP, and we come back to GeoDCAT AP, which is coming from, let's say, the ICT and e-government world, and the DCAT AP has been developed to document in a standardized way open data resources mostly. It's supported by different portals, open data portals in different member states. Also the European one is supporting this. And of course, then we have our own community, the geospatial community, focusing. There are more standards than that one that is indicated here, but there are already 3 parts in ISO 19115 and the related standards that are used very often in the context of geospatial data infrastructures, and which is also the basis of the INSPIRE metadata profile. This is more or less the same that has been explained already before, but just in another format. We recognize that there are different worlds with different solutions, different standards, different formats, because not all the worlds are the same. Here there are more, of course, than the 4 worlds that are indicated here, but more and more the geospatial world and the eGov, the open data world, is coming more and more together. But there's also a link to the archive world, to the statistical world, and so forth and so forth. And usually also the environments used by these worlds, these communities, are different. The portals are set up differently with different tools and different technologies. And so there is this challenge to bring this all together, or at least to be able to go from one community to the other. And then we come to GeoDCAT AP, because the first motivation of doing something specifically towards geospatial is that DCAT as a basic recommendation from W3C is meant for all kind of description of all kind of resources. And so not GRC as mentioned here in the figure, but under the ISA program, this has been further developed with an application profile to support these open data portals. But of course, these data portals not necessarily reflect geospatial resources, or they're not really visible. So basically the idea was, how can we use DCAT AP, further develop it so that the specific elements from the geospatial world, like the extent of a geospatial data set, can be kept. So if we want to make it visible in open data portals, that it's some of the information specific for the geospatial community is not lost. And so therefore was the idea to develop this GeoDCAT AP, and that has been done at the level of GRC with support of member states under the ISA program, and also in other communities. Similar profiles have been developed. One is StatDCAT AP, and that keeps some very specific elements of the statistical community. And there might be others in the future. It was also referenced as well, but in the context of this OGC domain working group, work has been done over the past 1.5 years, more or less, to focus and to develop a best practice document, focusing on integrated metadata management, the way it can be published, with 4 subtopics. One subtopic was on metadata input, but also not only manually, but also automatically automated way of harvesting. The second topic was about metadata publications as integrated or in integrated open data portals. Then also the publication of metadata in new formats that are more and more important, as linked open data, and also the information mapping between different environments. So to be able to see our geospatial resources also in these open data portals, for example, and therefore going from one format and standard to the other and the other way around. In the best practice document, there are 7 examples developed. One is related to work from the European Space Agency. One is the work that has been done in the context of one of the test beds of OGC. A third one is referring to the Czech INSPIRE portal. And then there are a few ones that have some implementations have been done in the context of projects. One is on Data Bio and the other one on the Open Transport Network project. And then there are more specific studies as well in the Netherlands and in Flanders, in Belgium, where Information Flanders and Geonovum have done more extensive studies / test beds to test certain solutions. Here is just one of the examples is from the Data Bio project, where there is a KML visualization of INSPIRE metadata for Sentinel dataset series, which was originally published in as linked open data. So the next steps will be, of course, to adopt this best practice document, because even best practice documents in OGC are proposed, discussed in the community. That has been done. And the next meeting in Orléans, it will be on the table to adopt the document. It will be released 3-week rule next Monday, or still today maybe, or during the weekend. So that will be discussed and then yes or no adopted. But then the idea is eventually to go further and to make eventually GeoDCAT AP what we call OGC community standard. KML, for example, from Google is also a community standard from OGC. And then it fits very well with the idea of the hackathons, because the aim there is to do new experiments on specific issues. These have been mentioned already by Karel. It's 3 dots, so it means it's not really fixed yet. So we ask people and different sub-communities to make proposals, but let's say that the focus is on implementation and application in the context of metadata and especially GeoDCAT AP. And with that, I would hand over again to list the next webinar sessions that are foreseen, and also the hackathon that will continue over the next couple of months.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Danny. Very interesting indeed, and lots of new stuff for me, I have to say, and I'm sure for many others. Some of you might have some knowledge of part of it, I guess, but we really want people to engage in this activity that we have created and that you are leading in OGC. So the next on the agenda is actually the next plans for this hackathon. We are in the middle of the hackathon, and this is the first introductory webinar. And I will announce the next 2 webinars we have planned after this, before the meeting in Orléans. And I'm looking at to see in the chat. I cannot see any questions, but while I'm presenting the future webinars, please do write some questions. If you have some questions to Danny, Marie-Francoise or Karel, please write them in the chat box now and we can answer them. Before that, so I will share with you our plans so that you can make note of them. So I will share my screen, and it comes, let me see now. Can you tell me if you see the slide that I'm showing?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So you have been participating right now in Friday the 23rd introductory webinar. And already next Friday, we are planning to have go deeper into metadata and making and looking at how we can unify data and metadata. And we will use the case of satellite imagery as a demonstration. And next Monday, the Monday after, the Monday the 5th of March, we will actually look at the essential biodiversity variables and the metadata that describes them. And let me tell you, if you don't know anything about it beforehand, it's quite a challenge. So we want to introduce these topics to you, and that's why we are organizing specific webinars during the hackathon. So for those of you who are interested in these topics, you can go to the Plan for All webpage and find a description of the hackathon itself. And if you sign up, if you register for the webinar, for the hackathon, you will also see the different teams that has been formed or covering a number of topics, and you are free to join these teams and work on a topic that you think is the most interesting. So I will also share this slide with you, and you see here all of us engaged or behind this particular hackathon. So I will go back to come back to you here. So you see, we have quite a few plans. I hope that you will revisit this webinar as well. It's a lot of information, so you can go and watch the replay, and feel free to share it with the people in your community that you think might be interested in this topic. We welcome everybody to join the hackathon, and all the groups, all the teams are open for participation. Yes, and let me see now. I don't think I see any more questions. I think maybe I had a question myself to you, Danny.
Yeah.
And that was, what is, for instance, the GeoDCAT? What would you say is the difference between the GeoDCAT and the ISO standard relevant for geospatial data? I mean, you had a list of those different types of standards.
Well, of course, it's another environment and another format on the one hand, and it's closely connect GeoDCAT to the generic DCAT standard. In that sense, it's a little bit different, and usually also the DCAT, which is supported by open data portals in other environments, which are called CCAN. We are not used in the regular geospatial community to use these platforms in these environments. So in that sense, it's different, but at the same time, it's the same in a certain sense that we want to be able to pick up the existing geoportal records and resources described in the specific geoportals and to find the same information back in these open data portals. So because we are too long a little bit isolated community, so the more the geospatial data resources and services and so forth are also visible in the open data portals, the better. So that's, at least for me, also the motivation to work on this. But of course, there are other advantages as well to go to more generic metadata standards. Right. And for example, I didn't speak about that, but many communities are looking into it now. For example, the military are looking into it. NATO, for example, wants to use more and more DCAT as the reference standard for metadata. The meteo people, the statistical people, as I said before, but also nature, people working on nature conservation. So there is different communities that want to have kind of reference format and reference solution. And so we need to go also to be able to link to those solutions as a geospatial community.
Yeah. Okay, that was a very great answer, and I think it's relevant for one of the topics that we are addressing in this hackathon, namely the biodiversity essential variables. I think that's where they have already one solution, and maybe GeoDCAT can add value to and solve some of the challenges that they are having. Okay, so any other comments, questions here in the room? Karel and Marie-Francoise, anything else you want to add or ask?
Well, yes, I would say that this best practice, as you could see, is an important document because this area of metadata is very important, but it's also quite complex. And this document is a first step to align everyone on the same understanding and to be able to go further in improving this interoperability from all different data sources to go further in mixing and making value-added products.
So I see here a question from Jean Masso, I saw that you are already registered on the hackathon. Then please go to, because I think that you receive password for Common Workspace. Go on Common Workspace, put there your idea or join some ideas relevant to you, and then you can start participate. Of course, all ideas are then promote through Plan for All portal, but also through different social media. So we try to attract people to know what is prepared. So please put your idea or put yourself into the team.
Yes, I just posted the link again to the page where you will find the registration link. And as Karel said, we are going to continue to announce the future webinars, and of course, and repeat the information, the possibility to register. And so I encourage you to follow all of the organizers here. So Plan for All, OGC, and also Polyvisu, AUGSTAT, DataBio, and NextGeos. All of these organizers will continue to promote this hackathon, including the future webinars that you learned about now, and also, of course, the video from this webinar, and all the teams. The teams are continuously forming. And you are also invited to create your own teams. Now, based on the information you got here, you see what the others do based on your the problems that you normally address. You might come up with some ideas, and we welcome all of that under this hackathon. So I think that's all for me now. I think, yeah.
On the behalf of Plan for All, yes, if you see our effort as useful, you can join our association. Yes, we are open. We are not requiring fee from the partner. We are requiring to work with us and help to do something for promoting all the data. In chat is also the web page where you can fulfill the questionnaire, and then on the base of your answer, we are selecting our members. Our goal is really that we need to find community who will help us with this activity and who will work with us around the world. Currently, we have something like 39 members. Plan for All is also participating directly in some European projects, and we would like really to play important role in this area.
Absolutely. And a final word, I see that Wendy from European Data Portal is here. And of course, she is organizing a massive source of data that we can play with. So thank you so much, Wendy, for volunteering to support our work. We are looking forward to work closer with you. So this is great. Yes, you are all registered. We will send you the files, the presentations in PDF format. And we hope to see you again. We will have a separate registration page for each of the webinars, so you are more than welcome to join us again. So thank you so much, Danny, Marie-Francoise, and Karel. I'm Bente Lilja also from Plan for All and NextGeos. So until the next time, have a lovely weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.